To begin my exploration of instructional leadership practices, I'll start with how I would create and facilitate a collaborative team design to teaching and learning. Through my experience as an educator, I've seen how some schools fall a bit short in implementing a range of strategies to encourage peer collaboration, especially cross curricular. In most cases, if anything, schools scramble, usually in vain, to schedule co-planning interdepartmentally. While few schools are miraculously able to make this work, most, due to scheduling or various conflicts, this is simply not possible. And to me, I think we can better prepare students to apply their learning by creating a collaborative network across different curricula anyways. Rather than attempting to solve the Rubik's Cube of co-planning within the department, I would group teachers together who already have the same planning periods and task them with creating projects where students of various levels could collaborate on to apply concepts and principles in their respective standards. There are real and meaningful learning opportunities here. I believe by putting together an empowered team of lead teachers and interested students with leadership traits who can come together and develop plans to explore these opportunities holds true power to make a lasting impact on education. If we do not demonstrate that as teachers and leaders, we're lifelong learners, problem solvers, solution architects, how can we expect our students to develop or strengthen the same traits within themselves? I believe this is key to seeing math in the real world, or the interconnectedness and rigor of a math classroom with the free-flowing interpretive pedagogies of music and of the fine arts. How can we make learning more applicable to everyday life as teachers and leaders if we fall short to even showing them how educational content areas are related? By implementing this plan, we would be creating rigorous, relevant, and engaging instructional lessons that ensure students acquire the essential knowledge and, even more importantly, the ability to learn and see math and music or the artistry of the scientific method. Doing allows the formation of memory. Exploring revenue analysis calculations in food science, in other words, doing math in real situations, builds an in-depth understanding. Connecting the beautifully geometric and complex designs of Islamic architecture to geometry and algebra allows for an introspective look into world cultures and an inventive take on teaching mathematics through an artistic lens. After all of this, the best part, no special schedule planning or retooling of the master schedule is required or even recommended, as pre-selected pairs of specific content areas that already have common planning are set as planning teams for this years-long approach. A second practice I examine is to be systematically and frequently in classrooms to observe and to engage in conversations with students about their learning. In selecting the podcast episode, How to Conduct More Meaningful Walkthroughs, I found powerful insight into the change that has occurred regarding what walkthroughs were designed to be, what they have become, and how they are often used or misused. The thesis of this episode was to create a culture of trust where teachers are welcomed, where teachers welcome others into their classroom. Robin Jackson expands to say that this is really hard to establish, but if you don't have it, getting into classrooms just feels awful. She presented a solution where you empower teachers by creating an environment of practice, distributed leadership, and develop a walkthrough regiment. In order to do this, pay attention when you first present walkthroughs early in the school year. Pay attention to who is most resistant to and most receptive to walkthroughs. She maintains that walkthroughs were actually designed to provide feedback to school leaders, but are most commonly used and misused as a way to give immediate feedback to teachers. To build this community of trust within schools, Jackson encourages school leaders to take those least receptive into the classroom of those who are most receptive and welcoming of visitors. By empowering the least receptive teachers, you create exponentially more avenues where classroom level data and feedback is generated, and you can understand better what's happening in your school instructionally. And instead of only relying on your eyes and ears about what you saw and heard in the classroom, you can later discuss and strategize where the real power of walkthroughs lies. But it can't stop there, and in fact, it doesn't start there either. In order to transform walkthroughs in the first place from something that can seem like a burden or a chore, you must enter into the classroom with specific questions. For instance, you may want to know if the recent training on guiding students through critical thinking is making a difference, or if 21st century instructional tools are being integrated using best practices. Entering with specific questions provides you with answers, so you know what is going on in your classroom and in your school. She says they can open up your school culture and build more trust in your school. I think I'll explore that more when I look into reculturing schools for Standard 3. Lastly, I examined key takeaways for new administration by interviewing 2 school leaders. From them, I gained valuable insight, practical examples of what has worked or not worked for them. Dr. Bailey shared her approach to instructional leadership. This has to trust that is gained by teachers developing meaningful relationships with their students prior to piling on homework. Students aren't going to work for you if they don't trust you first. I agree with her, and this is my personal approach to teaching and learning in the classroom, and it would be my approach as a leader of a school to ensure that teachers are really building those relationships before barking out orders. Mr. Tuggle shared that his approach to instructional leadership rests on setting high expectations for staff and students. He believes that the focus and attention should be on teaching and learning, growth, and to initiate and guide conversations about instruction and student learning. Have high expectations and concrete goals. He maintains that it all starts with engaging your students, knowing who they are, and initiating conversations about their learning. And I see this every day in the building. He's constantly walking through the hallways, talking with students, and really just chatting it up and building that initial relationship with them. And I see it in the school culture. It really makes a lasting impact. That's it.